Woohoo! It's the week of love, and I thought what a wonderful opportunity to talk about the power of self-love, the potency and power of self-love. It is most amazing and incredible experience. When you can tap into the power and potency of your own love, then you experience life and the world so very, very differently. And that's what I want to do over the next 10 days in BYO Love. I'm going to give you 10 days of being able to tap into the love that is you so that you can radiate with this vibrancy of life. You will fall in love, not just with yourself, but with life in general. And life will look totally different to you in any way. So today, I want to talk to you about 3 different things. I wanted to show you and demonstrate the difference of when you live with the potency of your own love as to when you live without the potency of your own love. It's a very different experience. And if I can show you the contrast, then you will get clarity around why it is so important for you to have this and tap into this wonderful asset, which is you. The love is within you. It's a myth. And that's the second thing I want to talk to you about today. It's an absolute myth that the love is outside of you. You know, people say, and you have experienced, falling in love with a moment, falling in love with a person, falling in love with life. But who are you really falling in love with? When you fall in love with someone else, we're making the assumption and putting all the power of the love being outside of you. I want to share an experience that I had just recently that really drove home the message that love is within you. It's not outside of you. And when you have that and you can tap into that unconditionality, wow, life again is very, very different experience for you and for everyone else you meet and greet. And the third thing that I want to do for you is to show you how to open up to that and experience that sense of unconditional love for you. All right. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about the experience when you are feeling all loved up and in with the potency of your own love, as opposed to when you're not. I'd love to know in the comments below, when have you felt loved up with yourself? What does that look like? In fact, let's take a quick little poll right now. A, B, C, or D. Let me know. Which one is you? You're a total love bug. You feel all loved up with your own sense of self-worth and love. Yeah, that's A. B, perhaps I feel it, but God, I would love more of it. I'd love to feel it every day. Or maybe you're C and you go, you know, hey, I actually don't know what my self-love feels like. Can you show me how? Or maybe you feel it's D. Hey, loves, it's all rubbish. You know, it's a load of BS. And that's okay if you feel that way too. That's the experience that you're going to have with your life. And that's okay because we all have our own levels of truth and we have our own sense of truth. And we've got to be respectful for that. So let me know, are you A, yeah, loved up, love bug, B, feeling, yeah, I feel it, but I want more of it. C, you know, I don't know what it feels like and I want to know how. Or D, it's rubbish. I'd love to know. So if you're short of time, just drop an A, B, C, or D, all right? Okay, so I want you to think about the times when you felt loved up, when you felt that sense of strong sense of love, self-love and appreciation, you know. It's usually attached to that experience of feeling joy-filled within your heart, you know, because when you are tapped into the potency of your own love, you are like a beacon and man, it radiates, right? And not only do you feel this ocean and sea of love, but it actually just oozes out of you. It oozes out of your conversations, you know, and it oozes out in your reactions. if we go back to your conversations, you probably find that your language changes and you feel so much more loving, and you use the word love. I can remember when I was writing out my profile for becoming an international house sitter, which I've been doing now for 8 years. I've been a nomad for 8 years. I can't believe it. Where has the time gone? 2 of those have been within COVID. Wow, what a different experience. But I was saying, something like my title was, your pets will be loved dearly, just as you love them, or something like that. And I use the word love quite a bit throughout my languaging. And when I asked one of my family to have a read of it, and a friend as well, both of them said, oh, there's a bit too much love in there, isn't there? And I went, you know what? No, it's perfect for me, because I want the house owner, the homeowner, to know that their pets are going to be loved in exactly the same way that they love them. So I think, when you are tapped into the potency of your love, it comes through your language. So you use that L word a lot more, and you tell people how much you love them. And time is too short not to, okay? I think we've learnt that recently in the last couple of years, that it's really important to express what you feel about a person. But it's not just your language. You are softer because you tend to come from a more open space. You're more tolerant and understanding. So that means for you, your own experience is less pokey. You get less triggered because you're more accepting and understanding of everything. And so you're a little less black and white, because, when you know the potency of your own love, it's not like you have to defend anything, because you know and you are content with who you are. You know who you are. I know that I am the essence of love, and that everyone else is going to have a different experience with me, of me, and about me, and that's all going to come from their own internal filters. Yeah, so everyone sees me through their own eyes, through their own internal landscape, and that's fine, So they will interpret me just as they interpret you, based on their own internal sets of values and beliefs. So everything's filtered. So what I've got to look after, what you've got to look after, is the love that's you. Know who you are, know your essences. And when you know that, and you know who you are, and you're comfortable in that, then guess what? You don't get triggered as much. You don't have people pushing your buttons. You don't get defensive around stuff. Yeah? Are you starting to get the feel? When you are tapped into the potency of your own love, people feel it. Everyone receives love, because that's what you're emitting. And that is a much lighter and higher frequency. So people tend to leave your space feeling better about themselves. They may not even notice it until the fact that they start to realize, you know what? I like being in that person's space, because it's soft, it's cushiony, it's kind of zen, and a lot of people call me Zen Jen, and again, it comes back to, I trust and know the potency of my own love. And so with that comes a sense of confidence in your own capability of what you have been through and what you will go through, and that you'll be able to ride the wave of anything. So, being the potency of your own love gives you this amazing confidence and capability boost, and this incredible internal buoyancy, which is, I think, the real nugget of resilience, right? And talking about that, it actually is an important part of your own courage muscle, because when you love and know who you are, it's easier to step out of your comfort zone and into your courage zone, and adopt and accept the adventures that come through to you. Okay, so there's a lot more I could go on. I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours, but I want to keep this, to within 15 minutes. So what does the other side of the picture look like? I've tried to paint a little bit of that with some of the comparisons along the way. But when you feel when you feel the potency of your own love, it's very powerful. What's the opposite of that? What happens when you're not tapped into that? When there's a really huge cloud cover or wounding that's in the way? Because you've got to remember, your love, your own love, is like the sun. It's always shining. The sun is always shining. It never stops shining because it's always up there. It's a big ball of fire and energy, right? So are you. But what happens is, just like the sun, when we go, oh, the sun's not shining today. Oh, sorry. Yes, it is. The sun is just not getting through to where you are standing right here, right now, because there's cloud cover. And guess what? We have our own version of cloud cover. And for some people, it might be living in the UK, sorry, UKers, but where there is a lot of cloud cover a lot of the time. And so maybe that's how you feel right now. You don't know what your self-love is like because there's so many clouds, there's so many stories, there's so many past events that have just put this layer. Or maybe you've been wounded, and so you have this defensive mechanism, and you put your guard up around everything, including your own love. So what happens when you have that experience? Well, we often get a bit spiky because we tend to be in defensive mode more, because we're in what we call our false self. Our authentic self is very much about our essences and the truth of who we are. Our false self is when we buy into all these outgrown beliefs, or old woundings, or old versions of ourselves. And they get us being defensive. They get us being very narrowly defined. And so so what's happening is, instead of tapping into the potency of our own love, we're actually discounting and diluting ourselves. So that's the opposite. So what does life look like? Sorry, having problems speaking now. What does life look like when you are feeling diluted, or when you're discounting yourself? Well, doesn't everything feel heavier, right? You don't feel light and bright and bouncy and buoyant and vibrant out here. You certainly don't feel like you're in love with life. You feel like everything is like you've got to push everything uphill, and we start to discount ourselves. And so we pull away, and we will disconnect from maybe the people that we love, or we start, thinking things. Our inner critic takes over us. And starts thinking about, oh, we can't do anything right, no one listens to me, why do I even bother showing up? All those sorts of things. And our languaging changes, right? Our languaging changes so that instead of elevating ourselves and expanding ourselves, which love does, we start to shrink ourselves and dilute ourselves and discount ourselves and take our own sense of empowerment away, right? And so then we lose our confidence, and we doubt our capabilities, and we revolve rather than evolving. That is a very different picture, isn't it? It feels heavier, it feels darker, and it feels more reclusive. And maybe the last couple of years has actually created that space for some. Whereas others, the reconnection with family and having to work at home and doing these sorts of things, maybe they've actually rediscovered a sense of their own love and joy internally, So I'd love to know, where do you feel? Are you feeling shiny and bright and connected with your own love? Or maybe you're actually feeling a bit diluted and you are discounting yourselves, right? Tap into your language. What are you saying to you? Are you actually, diluting and pulling yourself away and talking yourself out of possibilities, talking yourself out of things? That's a very big clue and cue to take notice of. So, two very different experiences. So depending on whether you're tapping into the potency of your love or you're disconnecting from it, will determine what sort of life and experience you have, okay? And that's very, very, very important. Now, the second thing that I want to talk to you about is that myth that love comes from outside of you. And this really came home to me last week when I started doing yoga again, and I went to yoga every single day. And it was really interesting. When we did either our beginning sessions or our end of sessions, there was often like get grounded, get present, let's open our hearts and open ourselves to the love. To open ourselves to love. And every single yogi spoke as though love was outside of them. And I thought to myself, wow, I just was shocked that even in this space, people that are very spiritual and people who do lots of energy work and people who do lots around self-love and self-development and personal development were all talking that about love being outside of them. Wrong answer. It's in you. It is, and this is really interesting, and I will talk more about this on a different day, is that our heart is one of our intelligence centers, and it's a huge harmonizer. And it is, it's not just the source of our love. It's not the only organ. All of our cells jiggle with joy and love. You have 37.3 odd trillion cells. That's a big powerhouse, and they can be fueled by love, a sense of love. So, I would like to say that it actually comes within you. And when you realize that it comes within you and you realize the love that is you, you are the source. It's about allowing that to fuel and to be the essence of who you are. And then when whatever you do or whatever you have will all be laced with love. It's kind of amazing. So that's really important. And we, later in one of the 10 days, I'll be showing you some examples and techniques to be able to tap into and connect with the love that is you. Okay? So the final thing that I want to leave with you is about how love is unconditional, right? True love is unconditional. It doesn't have a bunch of conditions around it, yeah? And we're going to spend a day on that as well, because I can remember over my time when I have loved people or loved situations or circumstances, I've believed that love has come from outside of me, particularly when it comes to loving people. When I have fallen in love with someone, I thought that the love was them, that it came from outside of me, right? And then in recent years, I have woken up to the reality of the situation, is that when you fall in love, it is reflecting the capacity of love that you have for that person, right? And it would be the same if you have that love for your children. That love comes from within you. It's not the recipient. And unconditional love is you choosing to love someone, something, or some event, or some situation, despite what you receive in return. That's true unconditionality. Doesn't have to be a two-way thing about it. It's because you are love, and your capacity to love is going to flow. You don't necessarily need to have that reciprocated. Yes, it's nice to have it reciprocated, but when you get into living and loving unconditionally, you love in spite of what you get in return. And so guess what? Everything you get back is icing on the cake. Everything you get back is surprise and delight. And it moves you away from expectation. How exciting does that sound? Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there. I would love to know what's landed for you in this and what you would like to know more about, because we've got 9 more days of this. How exciting is that? All right, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget, subscribe to the channel. All right, I hope you all feel a little more loved up and have a little bit more love and light in your life after listening to this. Let me know. All righty, catch you tomorrow. Bye.